I changed it to my programming nickname, which is Abatron, which is like Voltron, but with my first and last name. So it's like Abbott, Voltron, Abatron.
It's like you want to be a superhero.
I am a superhero.
I know.
Abatron is a superhero. So I just realized that my shirt's inside out.
No, I told you.
Actually, you told me it was inside out. But the thing was, look, my shirt would not be inside out if it wasn't for you. And here's why. I had a black shirt on, and then I walked over, and you had a black shirt on. And I was like, we cannot be the black shirt. Like did someone die?
Twinsies. Well, actually, so I think you wore that to work today. I have no idea.
I did. I actually did have the shirt on.
But then you
And then we
changed.
filmed, and I had
Right.
the dusted shirt on.
So it's funny because
And I actually put in the notes, like, hey, I'm actually wearing a company shirt during the podcast. And then right before I walked into the podcast room, I noticed that you were wearing a black shirt. I was like, we can't wear two black shirts.
well, it's funny because I brought this. I'm filming later this afternoon
And you're changing to a different shirt.
into dusted.
Well, you're changing into a dusted shirt, but
Into
you're going from
the-
black to black.
I'm changing into the exact shirt you were just wearing. And so when I came back,
And my shirt's on inside out, but we're going to leave it there.
and he's blaming me, but
my
it's not.
shirt is inside out.
It was in my office. It was
You
strewed
know how many
about,
men?
so I folded it.
Okay, look, there's a couple situations where this happens. One is if you get up early and you get changed in the dark. I do this all the time. You're kind of like, I don't want to turn the light on. I don't want to bother you. So I grab my shirt, I throw it on, and here's my reality. When I'm doing laundry, I don't always turn things the right side. I'm like, you know what? I'll turn it right side when I wear it. It's the same amount of work. It's just like it's either now or later. So it's not like I'm getting away with anything. It's just I don't want to do it right now. And I'm like, I'll totally turn it inside out before I put that shirt on. And here I sit with my shirt inside out.
Yeah.
And it's only because I changed. I actually changed into one of the other offices real quick. And because I took this shirt off, it was inside out. And then I put it on.
I know. Well, I felt like
At least the tag's not up front. You know,
this shirt's so old. I don't even
it's
think
my
it.
favorite shirt.
I don't think it has an existing tag. It's so worn out that you would have never noticed it was inside out if I didn't tell you. Like the logo on the front.
Well, first of all, this is like the style
non-existent.
sometimes, like where like the threading's on the outside.
Yeah, you're so stylish.
Nah, I know.
It might actually
Thank you.
look better this way.
So yeah, my note of company shirt is now my shirt's inside
Obsolete.
out. Is obsolete.
Yes. So
How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a morning of errands.
A morning of errands. Yeah, lately we've actually had we've had things to get done in the mornings or bank appointments or meetings off site. And I found myself, this is probably the first week where I haven't been in here every morning.
At like 8
early.
a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've had like meetings with clients in town. And so
Yeah.
you're like out at those meetings. I'm, on days that we're recreating recipes, I'm grocery shopping in the morning. So the, groceries
And it's
are fresh.
refreshing.
Just
It's
to be
refreshing
around
just to kind
town.
of be out of the office and
Get around.
and be somewhere in an appointment. I actually have an early morning meeting on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 in South Sarasota, and it's at a Starbucks, and so it's just convenient. For
I know.
both
I
of
always
us.
forget. And like we live downtown, so we take the golf cart everywhere. And when you said Starbucks, my assumption was just that you were at the one down the street when you very first started meeting this guy there. And then it was like the one day I'm like, okay, you said you were headed home. I expected you home in like 2 minutes, and you were really like 15 minutes away. It was like, this is unheard of. Taking the truck at
You
7
kind of
a.m.
opened up an entire Pandora's box
Okay.
on the whole Starbucks thing. So one is no one does business. So here's the thing: if you're local and you go to Starbucks early in the morning, and you see what happens at Starbucks early in the morning, you do not do businesses meetings at Starbucks in the downtown. One, there's not a lot of room to have a meeting, and two, it is filled, unfortunately, with a lot of homeless early in the morning. And so it can be
not
a
my
little bit,
favorite.
it'll be a little crazy. So, and you never know what you're going to get. And so it's a little rough in the early morning. But what's funny is that I actually put Starbucks on my notes because there was an article that came out this morning, and there's a Starbucks worker who's been there for 20 years. And she says that it used to be this cool, quirky coffee shop, and she called it a soulless fast food empire.
And she still works there?
Yeah, I mean, but she's just calling it what it is. you know.
I don't know. I wouldn't have an employee.
I don't know. Soulless was pretty tough.
I know. I
was
don't
like,
think I would have an employee
soulless?
working for me if that's how they felt. Because here's the thing.
They have great benefits. That's why.
Well, a couple of things. I think that it's so hard as a business. Like you start small and anything small feels good.
And it's fun.
And it's fun. And those employees, they're there from like, you know, the ground floor. And they're like, remember when we used to sleep like at
Remember
our
when
old,
our tables were 2x4s
Yeah.
and plywood and
but at our old company where we used to work, literally people would like bring in their kids and work overtime and have dinner in the office because it was just
there was
like
so much work to do.
Yeah, there was so much work to do, and the company was just getting started. But people had practically had slumber parties and became best friends, and it was like amazing. But it was so as the company grows, there's these people who were there from the beginning, and it's like any corporation, if it's successful, will start to have more corporate structure. It will have, you know, better benefits. Of course, is one of the aspects, but it's also you know, community in a very different way. And it's like,
well, I think food's a totally different beast though, too, when you get to these, or even department store chains or these stores that, because as you,
it's individual stores.
Yeah, it's like individual stores, individual cultures, individual groups. And then you rely on
But think about it. Starbucks
and,
is one location. And now all of a sudden, so it's kind of like a culture can exist here based on people, based on geographic region, based on whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're a national business. We have stores on every corner in every state. Now our corporate policies need to apply to we want it to be consistent across the board.
Yes.
And so it does change for those people who started in Seattle, you know,
right.
For Starbucks, you know, it's like very West Coast, chill, like funky, quirky little coffee shop. Which,
yeah, I think they had multiple locations though when Howard actually took over.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think they weren't like one little chain. He's like, I see an empire, you know. I don't think people imagine back then people, it's almost like when people started charging for water. Back then they're like, what? You're gonna charge $4 for a coffee, bro?
Yeah.
Like that should be like 99 cents at the Circle K. And you know, lo and behold, people actually want that. And you and I are huge Starbucks. One, we buy our beans at Starbucks, and because we like the espresso.
Yeah, we have a coffee
we brew at home.
machine at home.
And then when we're out and about, I like it because it is a franchise. I'm going to get exactly what I want. It's going to be brewed the right way, etc. And we have all these really ultra cool coffee shops in our town. And the problem is I think they try to be there are two things. They try to be too cool with like flavors and Ethiopian beans that have been hand rubbed by a Buddha monk. And
No, literally, there's some where it's like a monkey shit these out or something.
Oh,
like,
I know. That's
like we use monkey shit to make our coffee beans. Or I'm not kidding. There's like
no, I know.
somewhere in
Right.
like
There is a
an
coffee that's
island.
like that. And so
I'm pretty sure. I'm thinking of a specific friend who's all into natural ingredients who was like,
if I ever see someone with a pet monkey, I'm going to ask them if they like coffee. I'll be like, do you brew your own coffee?
but I mean, it is crazy. What's funny too is the people who are on the West Coast, there's like Stumptown Coffee. And then, like you said, just some of the small little shops. And
Yeah, there's Perk and there's...
My sister lives over there, and I've got a best friend that lives in Portland, Oregon, and they're very anti-Starbucks. It's like, no, why would you participate in that chain? Which is crazy because it originated in their...
It's not hip and cool. It's culture.
I know. And they're like, oh, the beans are terrible. The coffee is burnt. And it's kind of like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
The beans are fantastic. And if you make it at home, it's good, my sister has stayed with us before. We've made the coffee at home. And she's like, oh, this is delicious. And
it's like, yeah, it's Starbucks. And she's like,
I mean, you can get a shitty worker anywhere at any coffee joint.
Exactly.
You know? I mean,
sometimes you get bad coffee.
Yes.
You get more bad coffee because I put things in my coffee, so it's always...
I drink my coffee black. I'm a iced black Americano girl. And so if someone makes the actual espresso poorly, I taste it the second I take the first sip. It's horrendous. You're like, ooh, get a new barista.
Yeah. And what's so funny is that a lot of times you go, it's okay, I'll drink it. I'm like, no, we're turning around and getting a new coffee. Like, I'm like, hey, when you pay...
$1 billion empire.
Yeah, when you pay $4, you can burn me another coffee. I ain't...
And they are very good about that.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing.
So good about it.
And what's really nice is because if you do, just like any other thing, is that if you have a local coffee shop, okay, it still has local people in it. The Starbucks are still like they're both just people,
Right.
and you have relationships with both of them. It's not like, oh, you work for a chain, I have to treat you differently. You know, and they all love me there. I mean, they actually say my name when I walk in.
You're practically a local celebrity.
When it comes to coffee, I think I am. So, you know, I learned something, you know, years and years ago is, you know, Chris is a very common first name. And so
You learned that. You didn't just know it.
Thank
you.
you.
didn't figure it out when 20 children
okay,
in
well,
your
when
class
people
were
start
named Chris.
taking your stuff, like in this whole world of order ahead and pickup, people see Chris,
Oh,
they just
yes.
grab it. And it's like, what the hell?
You're like, "That
did
was
you
my
not even look to
coffee."
see what the order was?
No, people are in a rush.
No, they just in a rush. They just it says Chris. They grab the bag and they go.
Yeah.
So I changed it to my programming nickname, which is Abatron, which is like Voltron, but with my first and last name. So it's like Abbott, Voltron, Abatron.
It's like you want to be a superhero.
I am a superhero.
I know.
Abatron is a superhero. So anyway, when I walk in, they literally go Abatron.
yeah, it's you're living your best life.
You know
it's
what?
your
And it puts a smile on my
alter
face,
ego.
and I feel happy. And people are like, oh, is that your name? I'm like, no.
It's funny because we use your app. It's all under the same name, and so sometimes if I order a coffee and I'm on my own, I walk in and I take Abatron's coffee. It's like they know now.
They're like, oh, that's
That's
someone else's
Abatron's
coffee.
wife. No,
Oh, no, they know Abatron's wife.
yeah, they don't know my
But
name at all.
I know, but you know when
They
when
smile
they
at
see
me,
you,
though,
they should
yeah.
I'll get them to be like Abatron wife.
Oh God, please
That would be
don't.
amazing.
I'll be
Anyways,
like,
I didn't read the whole article about the quirky coffee shop, but I
Well-
did see the soulless fast food empire. And I
Okay,
thought that was
but
funny.
this girl was quoted. Her name was in the article.
No, it's like any news article. You know, you know the old saying,
It's
which
anonymous?
is like believe half of what you see, or believe nothing of what you hear, and half of what you see. And so it's like someone wrote an article.
I don't think I've ever heard that saying.
Oh, yeah.
Believe nothing of what you hear.
Don't believe anything you hear, and half of what you see.
Okay. I mean, I get it,
Yeah.
obviously.
So anyway, they just said it was a worker of 20 years. They didn't. I don't know if they named her. Like I said, I didn't read the whole article. I saw the headline.
Well, anyway,
and I thought, oh, that's funny.
I'd be sitting there if I ran HR
Yeah.
and corporate, and I'd be like, "Who's been here for 20 years?"
That list is small.
I don't know. It might be big.
No, it could be. It depends on.
Starbucks probably has a lot to offer. I mean, I know some people that were working up in the corporate world and ended up working under me, but they had been managers at Starbucks at one point in time. And I mean, it's a
20
totally
years.
different
It's
world.
very hard to find anyone who's been with the company for 20 years. these days.
Nowadays, I know. Before, sorry, I'm getting so off topic, but my parents both worked for their companies for a long time. And I think my dad almost made 40 years at the company that he worked at straight out of college. And they used to have this magazine, like a laminated bound magazine. And at like your 5-year, your 10-year, your 20-year, like you could pick like an item to be given to you. Kind of like they do these digital things nowadays. You get points or whatever, like the Nectar systems. But I remember my sister and I, when we were kids, he'd be like, okay, girls, I hit 30 years. Like the gifts are getting good. And it was like you could get like a Swarovski crystal lamp. And we were like, that'd be cool.
Okay, so a couple things are wrong with your story. Here.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
One, there's no way your dad worked there for 40 years.
We need to ask him.
20 plus 40 is 60, and your dad's 70. He worked for more than one company.
He did. He had a couple of years of his life at
yeah.
Comerica Bank afterwards, but he was at Unisys.
I wonder how long.
He maxed out. He was
we're gonna
over
ask him.
30.
First of all,
he was over
when
30
you hear
years.
this, I need you to text us
I
and
know.
tell us the longest you worked for the company. And let us know.
I know it was over 30.
I think it's under 30.
No way.
Under 30. We'll see. We'll see who's right.
Okay.
Challenge accepted. All right, we're good. We're good. All right, moving on. So I actually saw
Moving
something
on.
that that I thought that you would appreciate, which is in our town, they put all of those green bike lanes in
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
along Ringling and stuff. And at first we like really hated them because
The
they were
color.
the green, they were bright.
But then we found out it was like a nationwide new
It's like a
color or
nationwide thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
something. I know.
I know.
Well, you told me this. I didn't know.
I think I
would
I
never
think I
know.
told you this.
I would
because
never care.
Now they blend in. I don't even notice them anymore because now that we're used to them.
What's amazing is they put these sticks. So what we're talking about is like if there's bike lanes, if there's sidewalks, whatever.
They're taking
it's
road
like a
lanes
neon
and converting
green,
them to bike lane
Right.
really bike lanes. And
there's like a neon green paint that separates the road where the cars are
Yep.
from the bike lane. And so to keep them safe, which is great. But what's amazing is there's people, which I'm sure, I mean, we live in a city where there is definitely an older generation, and I'm not even going to blame the older
You mean
generation.
it's God's waiting room?
I'm not, it used to be. I think it's really freshened
We
up.
definitely got it. Yeah. We
got a surge of young people.
We got a surge of young people to buy up the.
And I'm not even stereotyping that it's the old people that are making these mistakes. But what I was going to say is they not only have the green paint, they have these massive like stick barriers
Yeah.
to keep you
And the concrete curbs.
in the concrete curbs. And
people are hitting
how
them
many
left and right.
barriers do you see down? It's like,
it's
what's
amazing
wrong
how
with you
much they're
people? The
damaged.
neon green paint and the curb
Yes.
and the tree and the frickin' barrier didn't mean anything to you?
Well, I don't remember seeing him in San Francisco when you and I went.
Oh, yeah, that was years
It
ago.
was years
though.
ago. But there was an article that was just came out that that a lot of small businesses are being affected because they're taking up the parking spots, and it's impacting small businesses all. The
green paint?
Yeah. The bike lanes are killing businesses.
Neon green
Are
paint?
killing businesses.
I don't.
It
I'm not sure. I
reminded
get
me-
because people can't park there now.
Correct, because it's bike lane.
But in San Francisco, come on, you couldn't park there anyway.
Well, I
Take the
remember a
trolley.
couple things. One, we got a ticket in San Francisco because I parked on because they have like days that they clean. Remember, we
You
parked the rental car.
on a tram route, like the tram drives down that road, and you parked where the tram goes.
Well, then I shouldn't have got a ticket. My
Shouldn't-
spot. Anyway, we got a ticket, and it was a rental car, and it was I don't know.
Not your problem.
Not my problem. And then it reminded me of Lombard Street
Yeah, that was something.
when you and I went scootering down Lombard
I know,
Street.
and that's really cool. Sarasota has gotten scooters, but we didn't have them for years. Just in the last 2 years, I feel like we've introduced scooters and our little trolley that takes people to the beach. We've gotten much better at attempting to have some public transportation for people and bike lanes. But yes, San Francisco. When we went to San Francisco, it was like 5 years ago, and they had just introduced the Amazon Go store.
Okay,
We
yep,
were
that's right.
super excited to go there. It was like the
We were to go there.
flagship store.
And take something from the store.
You feel like you're stealing. So
I-
if
yeah,
you guys,
yeah,
so I've
yeah.
never seen it introduced in any other city. I don't know
They
if
are
anything
around.
happened with
They
it.
are around. There was an article just a few weeks ago that I read about the stores, and they were closing down some pilot bigger stores. I think they're having problems in the bigger stores, but the
People
small
stealing?
ones, yeah, with people stealing.
So
it's
I-
like that's like the coolest store ever because you could go and steal, but you're not stealing. Like it's like, hey man, if your tech didn't work, you said to come in and take things.
Right. So what it does is when you come in the store, it like scans your face, scans whatever.
Yeah.
And then like as you pick up items from the shelves, it knows which item you picked up. It knows the price of that item. It's like somehow knows the barcode of the item. Who the hell knows? You don't check out anywhere. You put it in your freaking bag and you walk out the store. And what's wild is like we were joking around like, oh, will it really work if we put it like under a cardigan or if we put,
Right. We were like
a-
pretending to sneak. Like
we weren't going to steal anything.
By the
but-
way, SNL came out with a skit
Did
on
they?
Amazon Go, and it's hilarious.
Oh, I
because
need to watch it. I haven't seen
the
it.
one guy, he walks in, he's like, "Okay, I'm taking an item now." like he's like, it's like this
don't
is a
arrest
trick,
me.
and then like it's like a
Exactly.
boyfriend girlfriend, and the boyfriend tells the girlfriend, and he's just like, and she's like, "No, I'm not gonna take it. You take it. You know."
Because it feels so wrong.
Yeah,
It really does.
And you're like putting it in your bag. And
I
everything,
know.
and-
But so that was really cool because we had never seen that. And then it was one of the first cities to really have like all of the scooters. I mean, I saw them there. I saw them in
yeah, we had the
Nashville.
bird or limes or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah. And so we were riding these scooters, and our plan was to go to the top of Lombard Street and walk down Lombard Street. That was always
that was your plan.
the plan.
My plan
That
was always to
the
ride
plan.
down Lombard Street on a
No.
scooter.
And for those of you, I mean, everyone would
You were
be
screaming down.
I'd
I'm
be
laughing and filming.
Well, people
and we
might
have,
not know what
we have-
Lombard Street is.
So Lombard Street is the famous street that's very curvy and super steep.
It's literally like a massive like S many times over.
It's back and forth, back and forth.
It's a huge tourist attraction and it's gorgeous. It is. It's like there's stairs along the side. It's like a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
Winding
But we
down.
had like 20 cars behind, and no one was honking or anything. Everyone was going slow. And of course, everyone's sitting there thinking, like, look at, first of all, I think they were looking at us and going, we should have scootered down. That would have been cool.
What?
They were thinking, we're so
we
lame.
should
We're in
have
a
taken.
car. And they were
No.
looking at us going,
There
wow,
was like
look
a
at those cool people on a scooter.
There was a huge like monster Jeep behind me. It was black. I'll never forget it because I must have stared at it for 10
You were
minutes.
scared they
I
were
was
going to
like,
run you over.
yeah, I had the brakes on the entire time. I was terrified. And it's like cobblestone. The street's cobblestone.
Is it?
Yeah. I remember being like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, it was like horrible. It was really horrible.
That's funny.
And you just you were like a mile ahead of me.
No, it's not even a mile long.
I know, but I'm just exaggerating.
But I was ahead. I was filming. I was
Yes.
literally driving and filming and going down Lombard Street, which was pretty cool.
So that's a funny video. But yeah, I don't
anyways.
even know how the heck we got into San Francisco. But the green
green
bike lanes
streets
killing
and
business.
stuff like
But
that.
that's the thing when we were there. I didn't feel like
I
there
didn't
was
see
much
any-
parking
I
on the
didn't
street anyway.
see-
But and
yeah.
you can take the tram pretty much anywhere. So sucks that it's impacting businesses, but it must be kind of outside of the main city.
Speaking of small businesses, and I think our policy, and we probably recommend this to every company policy. It's so crazy, like how polarizing things like religion and politics can be, and we try to keep that out of the workplace. It's like, hey, we
I
are
feel like
very
everybody
accepting of everyone.
should.
No, but we know people who are very either Republican or Democrat in the way that they run their companies or their vocalness. So we always say you got to be careful. And so I'm hesitant in bringing this topic up, but
I don't even know what it is. I
know.
probably wouldn't have approved
well,
this
you
topic.
probably didn't. But VP Harris proposed a new $50,000 tax cut for small businesses. And allows them to write off $50,000 worth of revenue on startup. And you can hold it until you're actually profitable. So you can write it off against real income where you'd actually pay taxes. And so I actually thought that was interesting. And then what was really crazy was just all the banter back and forth about is it good or is it bad? And the only reason I'm actually bringing it up
I can't believe you're bringing this up right
is
now.
because I want Maria to make a short and us to get comments on what people think.
So we're not giving our opinion.
We're not. I have no opinion, but I'm curious what our listeners'
Well, you
opinion.
do have an opinion.
Oh, I do. I'm going to keep it to myself. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a communist. Put that in there, Maria.
No. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time in our world right now. It
Yeah.
is hard when you're running a business because, to your point, our stance has always been like, of course, we have our own opinions.
Yep.
But we do want to be accepting of, we truly are accepting of everybody. It's like we're educated ourselves and we can respect that other people who are also educated can have completely different opinions that are legitimate opinions because that's what makes sense for them and their lifestyle or them and their
Well,
morals
that's what's great
and
about
values.
America, quite
Exactly.
frankly.
But it is very hard because there are people today, and now you've opened up a can of worms, and I probably shouldn't even be saying it, but there's people who have an expectation that if they're going to work for a company, they want to work for a company that's aligned with their morals and values. And oftentimes in today's world, people are associating politics with morals and values. And that's
yeah.
where I feel like a disconnect because I don't associate
Well, I think it's
the
an
two.
easy thing to do without having to do research, like in
Right.
work, right? So it's like easy to make assumptions without actually, being more educated and thinking.
And
or
it's easy to
walking
have
through the
expectations
issues.
of a company when, I mean, maybe you have owned your own company and you've chosen to work for somebody else, but also a lot of the times it's employees working for the employer
Yeah.
and they have a lot of opinions, but again, very different stresses and lifestyles, responsibilities, and so it's like
It's very tempting to just say or do something extremely crazy and out there for Dusted, just so we could get some weird class of people to boycott it and we get exposure.
no, I have no want or need to do that. That's
Oh,
our
really?
steak
I think that should be
seasoning.
our strategy.
No, some of his ideas that he comes up with are
Look,
wild.
I say things out loud because I just want to get people's reaction. I gauge whether it's good or bad.
He doesn't mind things like, and this is, again, forget politics for a second. There's a huge difference. Like you can talk about, you shouldn't talk about, but you can talk about like politics, religion. Of course, you're going to get opinions. But then there's other things that I just think are like inappropriate, a little bit like raunchy or like over the top
And
or
I'm
whatever.
like,
like it could be, so it is a steak seasoning. So we might sit there and go, okay, we're going to promote, red meat. And you're like, oh, what if I'm totally bringing this up right now.
No. This is a family show. It's a family show.
He's
First
like,
of all, I have
what
all
if we
kinds
rub
of. I have
a
all
piece of
these
red meat?
I have all these crazy ideas for Dusted, and I'm not afraid to get edgy because it's just part of the brand, right?
He just thinks and seriously, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I mean, it's just human nature. It's like sometimes these things that are out there are what get people's attention.
It gets people's attention, and it's like it's a very crowded space, right?
But you want to stay aligned with your company
our
brand.
company
There's a
brand
message and a
everything else,
tone and
right.
everything. Yes. So it can be
you know,
difficult.
Yeah, I'm really excited because we're going to make an ad for Friday the 13th.
Again, like he wants to be gory, and I'm like, that seems really extreme. I wouldn't do it. But
Yeah, and I actually pitched my idea I think last night to you, and you were like,
I said
I don't
no.
think Maria's gonna like that.
I don't think anybody's going to like that because I don't like it. But you know what? I mean, again,
I know, but like
different
there's like this
audiences.
entire like industry, like what's really happened with the explosion of people and just diversity in general is that all these different types of holidays, all these types of things, there are these communities of people who just appreciate it, right? So, and because of just the vastness of the population and all these people who are creating inside of these areas, there's so many niche opportunities. So if I look at Halloween, which is kind of where we're kind of going here, is that it's like this cottage industry where all these amazing cool things have been created by people because there's so many people who appreciate it. And it's the same thing with the other holidays. Not maybe not as much for Thanksgiving, but like
Definitely
Christmas, there definitely is.
Yeah.
But Halloween in general, when you think about whether it's movies, whether it's just decorations, there's types and clothing and dressing up, like it's huge. So, and I'm in that. I mean, I'm
You
not
love
afraid
Halloween.
to say that
You do.
I'm deep in there. I'm all about All Hallows Eve, and
All Hallows Eve. You start watching. In fact,
I've already started watching.
I was going to say, I
Halloween
feel
movies.
like this year things started early. Normally, it's like first of the month. We decorate, and then you start the movies.
Because you know why? Is because we spent a lot of the beginning of last summer renovating, and so summer kind of felt like it started later because we were renovating. And then
last summer.
What
does that have to do with Halloween this year?
Because before we knew it, it was like summertime was still here, and then it was like, oh, okay, it's Halloween. But this time we literally enjoyed all summer.
Yeah.
So, and it's like only 3 months.
Yeah, we did not
I'm like,
do
okay,
renovations.
summer's over.
I
You
know,
in
but
our mind.
we
Our
do want
boat's
to make
still not
some change.
fixed. We picked it up last week, and then they still, here's what's crazy, right? Like, have good communication in your company, because like I sent a 9-page PDF to the
No,
service
it was
to the
like
manager.
a full blown PowerPoint.
It was a
it was a
PowerPoint.
PDF, but it was a presentation. So we already shared last week. If you weren't here, our boat went in for just a regular maintenance check and came back like
Destroyed.
$3,000 worth off. Like all the speakers were blown, everything was wrong,
Yeah.
wires were cut, and so he was pissed, as you would be. And
I
we
gave
didn't.
him
We didn't want to take it back to the same place, but because they made so much damage, we were like, they either need to make this right because we're going to end up spending out the wazoo to make it better. So he put together like a full blown 9-page,
12-page
like PowerPoint
outlining
presentation
all the issues
for
that
the
need to get
manager
fixed.
guy.
So I go pick it up last weekend, and I walk through and I'm like, guys, this isn't done. And the guy, and the service manager literally looks at me, and I go, it was in the PDF. He goes, I didn't get a PDF.
Well, the guy working on the boat said
Which
that,
isn't
yes.
true, because I'm pretty sure when I emailed, I emailed
both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah, so.
But
But we already
anyway,
knew he
so
was
I created
part of the
version
problem.
2 of it, which is like a 4-page document now of the items
You're
to
like,
be
"Let
completed.
me make
And what
this
makes
as
me upset
easy as
is
possible
because
for you."
I wasn't able to drop it off, so we left it unlocked at our place.
Unlocked, uncovered.
Uncovered with the keys in it.
I know.
And we can see it remotely.
Because
we have
they
it
said they
shipped.
were going to come get it.
And they were supposed to come get it, and we're on day 3 now.
It has yet
Tuesday,
to
Wednesday,
be picked
Thursday.
up.
Yeah, day 3, and they have not picked it up
Well,
yet.
Monday's the day she said she'd come get it.
That's what I'm saying.
It all started too because they said, "Oh, we'll meet you."
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, well, just bring it
We're
that
closed
morning."
because it was Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, it was Labor Day, and so I said, "No, that's no big deal. No, we'll meet you here." So here's our number. I text, no answer.
Yeah.
They messaged me like 3 hours after we left, like, "Oh, sorry, I just didn't see this," and I get so upset because everyone in this world is on their phones
All the time.
all the time.
I have some friends that are really, really good. Most of my friends are. They answer all the time. But then there's those people that you text when they're not with you and they
Yeah.
don't answer. And you're like, because when you're with them in person,
They're
phone's
on their phone.
attached
So
to
you
them.
know they're ignoring
You
you.
know they're seeing their phone. It's like you're never
Yeah.
without your phone, but for some reason you see a message and you don't answer. Like we're not those kind of people.
No, I'm definitely more
quite
the addiction
communicative.
problem. Like
I'm not as bad as you. And
there,
I like
there is a sense of, and there's articles that have come out about this of just addiction to people's phones. And if you take it away, there's a panic that sets in. And I will tell you, if I can't find my phone,
if it's lost, that's different. Or like, let's say you go to work one day and you've left it at the house. It's like until you see it again, or it's in, and it's. Well, I'd love to sit there and say I wouldn't be that way. Like it's huge because your life is on that phone, your banking apps, your emails, your communication, your everything. And so your pictures, your memories, like that just holds so much value,
Yeah.
Intrinsic value that of course it's a digital device, but it has become our lives. But
with our communication with our franchise startups, we're moving everything to just
Phone.
mobile first. And
well, even when
not
you're sending
apps,
out,
but just
email, I've been in marketing for years and email is one of the best forms of communication still to this day to get people to interact with you. But you have to make sure both your website and your
we're
emails
using SMS
are
now, text for all
I know, but
communication.
I'm just saying, like, you need to make sure that things are built for mobile because if you've got a website that like works great on a browser or an email that looks great on a browser, it's like ain't nobody opening this up, sitting at their desk. It's just not going to happen.
And we actually just had someone who's doing feedback on one of our projects, and he was like, "Oh, when I hit the menu on mobile," and it's like, you're in an admin area that's not designed for mobile. I'm not even sure how you're able to do anything.
And a lot of apps don't allow for you to admin from your
We're
phone.
going to turn all that off.
Yeah.
Actually,
You
it was
can't
just
even
it was
admin
just
from
an
your phone.
oversight, not by us, but just that we sometimes it's so we like to think that those are just edge cases, but like. In our development team, we say this all the time, and people be like, "Oh, let's just do this," and I go, "No, we have to design for the most stupidest person in the world." Like, and they're like, "But that's dumb," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know, we're gonna do it."
You should probably hand it over to me for testing. I'll be your stupidest.
You're
person.
not. You're not the stupidest person. You're not
But
the stupidest person.
but no, we actually were just talking about how this weekend was Labor Day weekend,
Crazy.
which was, hey,
Oh, sorry.
a little crazy.
Just a little crazy.
No, we were talking about this weekend how it was Labor Day, and it was actually really nice because when we go to the lake, that's the one place I'm able to
keep
put
your
my
phone
phone
away.
down because we go out by the water and we're nowhere. I leave my phone inside. There's no point in having your phone out when you're on a hot beach or on
Except
the
to
boat.
play music.
Yeah, but you always have yours to play music, so I
I
don't have to
know,
worry
I
about it.
bring my
And
phone.
you worry about people calling you if they need something for work on the weekends or whatever else, which
Yes.
I'm not nearly as concerned. But it was a really nice weekend because this weekend in particular, where we have a little condo at our lake, it's open for rentals if people want to come and rent the property. But Labor Day weekend is very much so like an owner's weekend. And so all of our neighbors
everyone's
that
back in
permanently
school,
own.
so it's
and
just people who that's
it
their
was
getaway.
really nice.
It's
Yeah.
very, very nice.
I know, we got to
convenient.
see
There's
everybody.
Probably, 7 or 8 owners that were there that we all talked to and hang out with.
Yeah, that we're
and
friends with. They all come from different areas of the state.
We had a huge storm.
Oh my gosh. Yes, speak about so even though the boat still had problems, we wanted to use it on Labor Day weekend because it's still able to drive and work on the water.
Yeah.
It's just like at this point it's aesthetics and music and nice to haves. And so we got the boat back and had it in the water over Labor Day so we could use it. And then we were going to give it back to them, which it still hasn't been picked up yet. But the storm.
Well, we were watching a movie. It was kind of drizzling rain. We went inside, and
The rainstorms in Florida usually come around
they
2
come
or
around.
3 in the afternoon.
It's like a quick
it's
thing,
normal.
and I heard this howl. Like it was like, whoo!
It was insane.
Like it was like this weird, crazy howl that happened.
You were like,
and I jumped
oh my
out
God.
of my chair,
You were like laying on
and
the
I was
couch.
like, "There's a storm."
No, you didn't even say anything. He was up from
In my
the couch.
mind, I was like, "There's a storm."
He heard this sound and like
ran out the
out of
front
nowhere,
door.
he was like up from the couch, out the front door, shirt was off and like running in this storm. And the reason is, for all of you wondering what the hell's wrong with him, is because the boat's in the water. And if you own a
everyone's
boat,
boats are in the water.
yeah.
and
they're all anchored up right
they're
next to each
lightly
other.
anchored,
Yeah,
you know,
because
and
normally,
so
I mean, it's a small lake. It's
small lake, and these storms they usually don't have these, or you know about them. But I had to go out there and throw out our second anchor just as a backup.
First he ran out there, and if it is lightning, it is thunder, as if it's not. And my girlfriends just came; they were worried about the gators in the lake. I'm never worried about the gators in the lake, but I'm worried about you going in there when there's lightning outside. I'm like,
I'm not
okay,
worried about the lightning.
if this thing could, I know, but our neighbor was. He was like, I'm always worried about the lightning. I'm
I
like,
know.
me too. But you went out there. And this other family's boat that was
Broke free.
renting
We had two
broke
boats that
free.
broke
There's like
and a
10
jet ski that
guys
broke
in the
free.
water.
They're
you
all
know.
trying to salvage it and push it, and it's taking on water.
It was like, holy cannoli.
And you're to put it in perspective, it's very much like Forrest Gump when Lieutenant Dan is on the top of the
Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, and he's just like screaming at the storm. That was the storm that we had that came in.
It was so crazy. Well, and our neighbor, so they're like they have a 2-level house. So they were like on the second level, you know, that has like a patio looking over the lake or whatever. They're right on the lake, and their boat was parked outside. And they said when the wind gust came, that initial wind gust, they had a huge tube that was blown up just sitting on the back of the boat. And this tube must have flown up. They saw it in their window from the second story. So it must
And
have
it's
flown up
40 feet
40 feet in the air.
because the house is way above the lake.
And they looked
So-
out the window and they were like, holy shit. So I'm pretty sure he had the same reaction running out there. But yeah, that was insane. And people,
Nothing like Florida weather. Actually, one of our team members was just commenting on hurricane seasoning, and I
last
was
night was crazy here at the office.
yeah, he's like, it's going to be a crazy hurricane. There's a couple storms out there, and I'm like, it's going to be great for the economy. And it's
Why?
because
I'm like, what?
because when things get damaged, people have to get hired to repair it.
Yeah, but when things
And so
get
all the
damaged
money
in
that you're
Florida,
paying for
nobody
insurance-
wants to move to Florida during hurricane
Trust me,
season.
everyone's
the real
still
estate
moving to
market,
Florida.
They will. It
They
happens
love it.
every year. We still get people moving here. I
absolutely.
agree, but
It's crazy
Last
because
night was scary.
actually what typically happens, and where this is where people get upset about like the damage and stuff, is like when roofs happen. And so there's only a finite number of shingles and roofers that can repair and do roofs. And what really happens is that we have a lot of fraud that comes in. So people from out of state come in, they're like, hey, we do roofs. They take deposits and then you never see them again. And they hit the old people, and it's just always a big article every year, etc. And this is probably a shameless plug, but
You're talking about contractors.
Contractors Escrow
Yeah.
launched very recently.
It's one of the
and they
softwares that
escrow funds.
him and his team work on.
Yeah, and so what they do is they solve kind of that whole thing, so that you can get in line, but you're putting your money up into an escrow for that re-roof, and so it's just a great thing because now you don't have to worry about that guy that's going to skip town, because both sides actually have to release the funds when the work's completed.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, I think everyone has a nightmare story with a contractor, but there was one time when I was retiling one of my very first places, and the worker who was doing the work was like in the middle of doing it. And anyone who's redone flooring, it's like the worst thing to do. I mean, painting, you can tarp things, you can cover things up, it's fine. But if you're going to be tiling, you have to move everything from one
Yeah.
room to another room, and it's off. And this guy in like the middle of the job was just like, oh, my boss isn't paying me. Until I get paid, I'm not coming back and doing
Yeah.
the job. So we're like trying to call the boss who owns the company, and he's like, no, he's getting paid. He needs to show up. I'll take care of it. And like days go by. My place is like a mess. I mean, you're just floorings up everywhere. Not any new floorings down.
No,
like you're just
nothing.
like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And you've paid part of the money. It's like, well, I've paid you.
Paid.
So you need to come and get, it's so frustrating.
What's really cool is that actually there's a subcontractor feature to where money for subcontractors is actually escrowed. So it's kind of like tiered, so that you pay, subcontractors get paid, and that money doesn't come out, because that way they know they're going to get paid. Because that happens to a lot of subs, is they get started on a job and they got a contractor, and they're like, hey, contractor, I did my job.
Right.
I did this fence. I did this
Right.
concrete. I did this drywall. I did the electric. Where's my money?
And it's hard to find someone who's good too. But yeah, it's so
I
crazy.
think everyone says that it's hard to find someone good. I think there's a lot of great people out there.
I'm sure there
The problem
are.
is that their prices are typically higher because they're good.
Because they're good. And that's how I felt about my painters that I would use again and again and again. Like again and again and again. This is the guy you were talking about that pulled up in the Corvette. Oh,
Yeah.
that was a separate video, not the podcast. But it's
Right.
like, oh, why does this guy have such a nice car? And it's like, because he does damn good business and he, has been doing it for years.
It's one of those things where the in this particular story, the painter pulls up in a Corvette, and I
He's
say,
like,
I
"No
say to
wonder
Beck, I
they're
go, this is going to be an
charging us."
expensive, paint job.
And I've already used him.
And you've already used them, and
For
so
years.
I sit there, and you look at it two different ways. One is like, yeah, we're going to get charged, but then it's like, well, wait a second here. This guy has nice things because he's running his business efficiently.
And he shows
He
up
shows up
as the owner of
The
the
work
company
is getting
to
done.
make sure. Yes, he
yeah,
comes
and they did
checks.
amazing work.
They do.
So we were happy.
Yes, but
We were poor, but we were happy.
you're actually a fantastic painter.
Yeah, I wish I could charge.
I haven't had to hire any. Well, you could charge. You keep your day job going. You're busy enough as it is, but you're a really great woodworker, contractor / painter. I mean, you can do
Yeah,
it
it's like
all.
my hobbies.
But
like
other
those
people,
things.
I mean, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I would love for you to do that." And it's like, no, I enjoy making renovations on my house.
my house.
And trust me, I mean, could you upcharge and make tens of thousands of dollars like
Not worth
replicating?
it.
But when you're doing these projects, it's kind of like we're in no rush, so it's over the course
Right.
of.
We
you
might
know,
be in like construction hell for weeks,
yeah.
which
We only-
I
he-
have thought a
he
lot
only
about
does-
because of the living room. And
I
I'm
know
like,
he's thinking about redoing our living room, like just doing like a massive kind of built-in to the ceiling.
Well, we want
fireplace
more
and then more
storage.
storage. Yeah, and so and I'm still I'm unsure. I mean, it looks pretty, but
oh, it's happening.
just don't know. And you know what? It has crossed my mind a million times that if this would be the one project, because normally it's like, okay, it's at the lake or it's in a closet or it's in the garage or it's out of my
no,
sight or not
right.
an issue. Yeah, it's in a small corner of our house
Well,
that
what
we
I was
never
going
go
to do
in.
was basically line
This would
up
be our
Jesus
living
and
room.
Moses.
You
those
guys,
are my
Jesus,
drywallers.
Jesus and Moses are it's Jesus.
I love those guys.
His name is Jesus.
The fact that they're just Jesus and Moses, I love them.
They do God's work.
They do. They do God's work. They do some damn good drywall. Those guys should name their company God's Work.
That would be kind
God's
of funny.
Drywall Service.
We were just talking about
Hi, I'm your
funny-
representative Moses, and this is my friend Jesus. So
We were
we'll
just talking
drywall
about
you up
funny-
pretty good.
Oh my gosh,
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, if you actually live in this area and you need them to, I will refer them to you. If you live here, just message us if you need drywall.
Anyway, we've chatted our little
Just
heads
tithe.
off today. What?
Just don't forget to tithe.
The tithe? Oh, the. You can tell how religious I am. I'm like tithe.
Tithe? What is that word?
What's tithe? Oh,
All right. Well, hey, let's wrap up today. And yeah, next week I want to talk about NVIDIA and just,
NVIDIA?
it's a huge chip company that lost more value in the last
Oh.
week than like the biggest companies combined, like $270 billion. And it just, just the difference between having something in your portfolio versus owning your own business.
Okay. Next week.
Next
Tune in.
week, tune in.
Wow, what a cliffhanger.
I know. Don't lose $270 billion.